How many times have you said yes when your heart was begging for a no? There comes a time in life, especially after 60, when we learn a powerful truth. We no longer need to please the entire world at the expense of our peace. This video is a heartfelt invitation to a journey of transformation, a journey where you'll learn that saying no with love is actually saying yes to your emotional health, your time, and your life. Because after a lifetime of caring for others, now is the time to care for yourself. Over the next few minutes, you'll discover how to set healthy boundaries without guilt, how to maintain others' respect without sacrificing your well-being, and how to find freedom in simply learning to say no. Get ready. Because today you'll take a firm step towards something you may have set aside for far too long: the right to choose yourself, the value of no and maturity. After 60, we begin to see life with a clarity only maturity can provide. We've weathered storms, lost and gained people, collected stories and scars, and through it all, we've learned that our time and energy are treasures too precious to waste. And that's exactly why no starts to hold special weight. Not as a wall of coldness, but as a shield of emotional protection. How often have you agreed to commitments just to avoid hurting someone? How often have you given beyond your limits, only to feel drained, empty, even regretful later? Saying no isn't about rejecting others, it's about honoring your own limits. It's understanding that you no longer need to carry the world on your shoulders or prove your worth to anyone. You've already proven it. Decades of being a pillar, a confidant, a steady presence. Now, it's time to use that hard-earned wisdom to consciously choose where your energy goes. Saying no to a visit you know will exhaust you more than uplift you. Saying no to a social obligation that no longer feeds your soul. Saying no to that favor no one appreciates, the one that drains you dry. These no's are liberating. They're small, quiet acts of courage, but profound, because they don't come from anger or resentment, but from clarity. When you say no with calm conviction, you're saying yes to your mental health, your peace, to quality time with those who truly matter, and even to those quiet moments with a good book, a cup of tea, and the sound of birds in the background. The truth? A no spoken with love doesn't push people away. It teaches. It teaches others that you too deserve care. It teaches life that you know your worth. And above all, it teaches you that it's okay to prioritize what truly matters. After all, maturity is this. It's no longer chasing approval. It's walking with purpose. This isn't selfishness. It's wisdom. And the best part? That wisdom already lives inside you. It's just waiting for the right moment to be heard. The yes that hurts when we agree too much. At first glance, saying yes seems like a noble gesture. It feels generous, helpful, considerate, and often it is. But there's a kind of yes that doesn't heal. It hurts, not the other person but ourselves, because deep down we agreed to something we never truly wanted. We swallowed the urge to say no. We buried our truth in silence, out of fear of seeming ungrateful, selfish, or, most often, to avoid hurting someone else. Yet, the truth is, when we say yes just to please, we're the ones who end up hurt, and the body feels it, in the exhaustion that never lifts, in the frustration that flares up for no reason, in the anxiety disguised as worry for others. The mind feels it too, weighed down, conflicted, trapped between what we wanted to say and what we actually said. This is especially true in maturity, because after 60, choices carry a different weight. We no longer have energy to waste on commitments that drain us, nor patience for what disrupts our peace. And yet, some still say yes out of impulse. Saying yes too often, without checking in with yourself, is like giving away pieces of yourself when you're already running low. It's like drawing water from a nearly dry well. Over time, this mismanaged generosity exacts a price: resentment, frustration, and that aching sense of invisibility. As if everyone expects more from you than you can or want to give. But it doesn't have to be this way. When you realize every yes should come from the heart, not obligation, you begin to break free. Learning to say no is an act of self-respect. But learning to say yes with awareness is an act of real love. Saying yes when you truly want to help. Saying yes when it brings genuine joy. Saying yes when you know you can give without emptying yourself. That is the yes that heals, because it doesn't betray your truth. It doesn't diminish you, it honors you. In maturity, we have the chance to drop obligation and embrace authenticity. That means you no longer need to prove yourself. You don't have to accept everything to be accepted. You are already worthy, already enough. And when you fully understand that, you'll see the no's you avoided saying were actually doors that needed to close, so lighter, truer ones could open. Remember, your yes only holds value when it's spoken with truth, and that only you can feel. Boundaries aren't barriers, they're bridges to respect. When we talk about boundaries, many picture a wall, a barrier, a separation, but that's a misunderstanding. True boundaries don't push people away, they bring them closer. Why? Because when we set clear, loving boundaries, we show others where we end, and they begin. That's not rejection, it's clarity. It's emotional maturity. And in our later years, this clarity becomes even more precious. We've spent a lifetime balancing others' desires with our own, raised children, cared for family, supported friends, worked hard, always trying to keep everyone happy. But now, at a time when the body asks for more rest and the mind seeks more peace, boundaries become a gift to ourselves and to others. Consider this: when you calmly say you can't take a call right now because you need rest. When you ask for notice before visits because you value your routine. When you decline an invitation that would leave you uncomfortable. You're not being harsh, you're being honest. And that honesty is liberating for you and those around you, because people begin to understand who you are, what you value, what you need. Boundaries don't create distance. Confusion does. When we don't communicate our limits, others guess, or worse, overstep. That's when frustration builds, resentment grows, and respect erodes. But the fault often lies in the words we didn't say. So by setting boundaries with love, you build bridges. Bridges of respect, mutual care, real understanding, and the most beautiful part, you teach by example that it's possible to say no without being unkind, to protect yourself without attacking, to be firm and still warm. Many in their later years feel guilty for wanting more space, more quiet, more time for themselves. But that's not selfishness. That's wisdom. Only time can teach. The world moves too fast. Life demands too much. And if we don't set a boundary, it will run us over. So pause, breathe. Ask yourself, does this serve me? Do I truly want this? Or am I just avoiding the discomfort of saying no? And if the answer comes from within, honest and clear, listen. Because respecting yourself is the first step to being respected. And the relationships that truly matter won't falter with healthy boundaries. They'll flourish. Because mutual respect is fertile ground for real love. And that is what we all seek at any age. But after 60, we learn something deeper. Inner peace is more valuable than any outside approval. And keeping that peace takes courage. Courage to say, this is my limit, and those who truly love you will understand. The fear of displeasing others. Overcoming the guilt of putting yourself first. There's a feeling that follows many people through much of their lives. A subtle, quiet, yet powerful feeling. The fear of displeasing others. This fear makes us smile when we want to say, enough. Makes us accept invitations that drain us. It stops us from disagreeing, from refusing, from standing our ground. And when it takes deep root, an even darker shadow emerges. Guilt. Guilt for saying no. Guilt for setting boundaries. Guilt for finally starting to prioritize yourself. This happens to so many of us, especially those who've spent a lifetime caring for others. Mothers, fathers, grandparents. Generous souls who learned that love is proven through sacrifice. But there comes a moment, usually after 60, when something inside us stirs, a call, an urgency to take care of ourselves, and then comes the doubt. Am I being selfish? The answer, with all kindness, is no. Putting yourself first isn't selfishness, it's wisdom. It's understanding that we can only give our best to others when we're well within. It's recognizing that our mental, emotional, and physical health matters, and that yes, we have the right and even the duty to care for ourselves. See, the fear of displeasing often comes from childhood, from when we learned that good people don't say no. But that belief no longer serves us. Good people say yes with love and no with respect. They understand that true love isn't about constant sacrifice, but about preserving yourself so you can show up healthily. When you put yourself first, something magical happens. You teach the world how you want to be treated, and those who truly respect you will understand. They'll adjust. They might even admire your strength. Now, those who walk away because you set boundaries, maybe they were never really for you, and that distance, as much as it hurts, is liberating because it makes room for relationships that are mature, lighter, more reciprocal. Guilt might still visit from time to time, and that's okay. But when it does, remember, you're not pushing others away. You're coming home to yourself. And that reunion, it's the most important one of all. Putting yourself first is an act of love, an act that begins with small choices, choosing silence over noise, choosing rest over exhaustion, choosing your own company without rushing to please anyone. This doesn't make you less kind. It makes you whole. It makes you present. It makes you true. And if there's one thing time has taught us, it's this. Nothing replaces the peace of living in harmony with yourself. So the next time fear or guilt arise, take a deep breath. Remember how much you've already given to those around you, and now, allow yourself to do something for you. You deserve this. You always have. The power of the pause. How silence speaks louder than words. In an increasingly noisy world, where everyone seems to have something to say, where opinions are fired like arrows, there's a quiet strength few understand and even fewer practice. The pause. The pause before responding, the pause before deciding, the pause before a rushed yes, no, or an angry no. This pause, small at first glance, holds ancient wisdom. It's the space where awareness lives, where we take a breath and ask, is this good for me? Do I need to answer right now? Must I react, or can I simply observe? After 60, we're no longer in a hurry to win arguments. We no longer need to prove anything to anyone. We've learned, often painfully, that silence can be more powerful than 1,000 words, because it shows mastery, it shows balance, it shows respect for yourself. Some mistake silence for weakness, but true silence, the kind that comes from inner calm, is a sign of strength. It says, I don't need to shout to be heard. I don't need to fight back to prove I'm right. I can simply not engage. And this kind of silence is liberating, because when you choose silence, you choose peace. And peace, after a certain age, is worth more than any well-crafted response. Instead of reacting impulsively, you choose the pause. And in that pause, discernment is born. You no longer need to explain your decisions at every turn, or justify your boundaries, or convince anyone of your choices. Because those who've truly lived learn that the best response is often a calm gaze, a firm silence, a presence that says, I am at peace with my decision. The pause is also a form of self-care. It protects you from exhaustion, it shields you from others' haste, and it invites you to live at your own pace. So when someone pressures you for an answer, breathe. When something provokes you, don't rush to retaliate. When anger rises, close your eyes for a moment. Give yourself the pause, because in that brief space of seconds lies your freedom, and with it, clarity. The pause is where you hear yourself, where you finally listen. And if maturity gives us anything, it's this: the right to live more lightly, to not carry unnecessary battles, to not respond to everything, to not react to every provocation. Silence used wisely is a powerful ally. It doesn't hurt, accuse, or wound. It simply puts you in control of your energy. And when you become the master of your reactions, no one else has the power to unsettle. You become the owner of yourself, and that is one of life's greatest victories. Boundaries aren't barriers. They're bridges to healthier relationships. For a long time, perhaps you believed that setting boundaries was rude, even selfish, especially if you're the type who always wanted to please, always sought harmony, and put others' needs before your own. But now, with maturity as your ally, it's time to understand an essential truth. Boundaries don't push people away. They bring them closer. When set properly, boundaries aren't walls, they're bridges. Bridges that protect your space, while also showing others how far they can go with you. Here's the thing. No one can respect what you don't clearly declare. If you never say something hurts you, how will they know? If you never say, "Not today, I need rest," how will they understand your limit? What we often call difficult relationships are usually just uncalibrated relationships. Relationships where boundaries were never drawn, and where silence was mistaken for acceptance. But this changes when you change, when you stand firm yet loving, when you say, "I respect you, but I also respect myself. I listen to you, but I also want to be heard. I'm here for you, but I won't disappear anymore." This doesn't create distance, it builds, because those who truly care about you will learn to honor your boundaries, and those who don't respect them shouldn't occupy so much space in your life. Think, how many times have you swallowed words to keep the peace? How many yeses came from fear of rejection? Maturity invites us to choose differently. It teaches us that love without boundaries becomes burden, that care without reciprocity becomes exhaustion, that overhelping can stunt others' growth. Healthy boundaries aren't about pushing people away. They're about building relationships on mutual respect. When you set a boundary, you're saying, "I value myself, I know myself, and I'm willing to care for myself." This is beautiful. This is necessary. This is liberating. When you learn to say, "I can't," you make space for "I deserve." When you say, "This isn't good for me," you create room for what truly nourishes your soul. Healthy relationships don't require sacrificing who you are. They flourish in soil made of truth, respect, and authenticity. And believe this, the clearer you become in your boundaries, the fewer explanations you'll need to give, because those who love you will understand, and those who don't were perhaps just passing through your life. Maturity gives you this power, the power to choose who walks with you, the power to decide what you'll tolerate, the power to build, not through strain, but through truth. Remember, the boundaries you set today are the care you give yourself for the rest of your life. Releasing guilt, the no that heals old wounds. There's a kind of no that doesn't just protect, it heals. It heals memories. It heals pain stored away for years. Because often, our struggle to say no comes from somewhere deeper than we realize. From a childhood where we learned that pleasing was safer. From relationships where we were told, without words, that our worth depended on how much we gave, even when it cost us too much. Over the years, we've accumulated so many responsibilities, so many sacrifices, that saying no can feel like betrayal. A betrayal of others' expectations, a betrayal of the image we built. Someone always available, always strong, always there. But now, after 60, with all the wisdom life has given us, we can and must look at this with more compassion. Because guilt is a sickness of the soul, and there's no more time to waste carrying weights that aren't ours. Saying no to what hurts you isn't selfishness, it's self-care. Saying no to those who took your yes for granted isn't harshness, it's maturity. When you allow yourself to set boundaries, you're actually embracing the wounded child still inside you, the child who wanted to be seen, heard, chosen, the child who thought love only came when they erased themselves. Now, with the wisdom only a long life offers, you can free that child. You can tell them, now I take care of you. Now I protect you. Now you can rest. Every conscious no you speak is an old wound beginning to heal. A weight lifted from your shoulders, a fresh breath filling your lungs, and gradually, you make peace with your story, not to erase it, but to redefine it. Because what was once pain can now become strength. What was once guilt can now become clarity. Maturity invites us to abandon the need to please at all costs. It invites us to love freely, not out of obligation, to serve joyfully, not from fear of rejection, and above all, to be true to ourselves. When you say no to what drains you, you're saying yes to your health, to your peace, to this new chapter of life which deserves to be light. You don't have to carry everything. You don't have to fix everything. You don't always need to explain. Sometimes a simple "I can't" is enough, and that's okay, because you've already done so much. Now is the time to care for you. And that is a gift only the wisdom of years allows you to unwrap. The courage to disappoint in order to be true. One of the greatest fears we carry through life is the fear of disappointing others. The fear of not meeting expectations, of being seen as ungrateful, selfish, or even cold. But in maturity, we learn something powerful, that living to please everyone is the fastest way to lose yourself. How many times have you said yes just to keep the peace? How many times have you swallowed your own desires to avoid conflict, judgment, or criticism? The truth is, no one reaches 60 without scars. Every line on your face, every ache in your back, tells the story of someone who carried the world, even when no one asked. But there comes a moment when the soul begins to cry out for freedom. And that freedom, my friend, begins with courage. The courage to disappoint. Yes, you heard that right. Because sometimes, to be true to others, you must be willing to let them down. This isn't a lack of love. This is self-love. Saying no might disappoint someone for a moment, but living an entire life denying who you are, that disappoints something far more important, your own essence. We're no longer at an age to wear masks. At this stage of life, what matters most is being able to look in the mirror and say with peace, I was true to myself. I was honest about my desires, about my limits, about what I could and couldn't give. And if someone was disappointed, good. Because maybe they were clinging to an image of you that wasn't real. Maybe they loved what you did, but not who you truly were. And that needs to change. Maturity invites us into more authentic relationships, where love doesn't demand constant sacrifice, but sincere presence, where we can say, I love you, but today I can't. I care about you, but right now I need to care for myself. That is emotional maturity. That is respect. The courage to disappoint isn't rebellion, it's liberation. Freedom from the weight of always being the pillar, from the role of fixing everything, from giving more than you receive, from trying to maintain a perfect image when what your soul truly wants is to rest, to breathe, to live lightly, truthfully, humanly. You don't have to be everything to everyone. You already were. You already did. Now is the time to be everything for yourself. And those who truly love you will understand, because real love respects your no's just as much as it celebrated your yeses. The courage to disappoint is, in truth, a great act of love. Love for yourself, love for truth, love for a more honest and peaceful life. And you deserve that. After so long putting others first, maybe now is the time to choose yourself, without guilt, without fear, with love. The art of saying no. Healthy boundaries. After 60, now that you've walked through these reflections with us, take a deep breath. Allow yourself to feel. How many yeses have you given? When you wanted to say no, how many times has your soul cried out for rest, and you gave in out of fear of disappointing? Well, today, perhaps, is the first step toward changing that story. Saying no with love is an act of courage, a gesture of respect, a gift you give yourself. And if life has taught us anything with time, it's that we don't need to make noise to be heard. We just need to be true. So I invite you to notice where you've been placing your energy, to recognize what drains you, what weighs on you, what tightens around you, and then with kindness, with awareness, set boundaries, because loving others can no longer mean forgetting yourself, and caring for yourself is never selfishness. It's maturity, it's wisdom, it's self-love. If this message has touched your heart, if you've felt something awaken within you, share this video with someone else who needs to hear it. Write in the comments, "I choose my peace." And together, let's create a space of support, truth, and care, because it's never too late to change. It's never too early to respect yourself, and it's always the right time to say yes to the life you deserve to live. With love, with presence, and with the boundaries that uphold your freedom. Until next time, and remember, your peace is priceless. Honor it, protect it, live for it, always.